Dan, some of these e-commerce gains, Walmart, Target, really mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing, Sazi, and I think that the only takeaway has to be this is where things are going and it's here to stay. This is not a pandemic-only trend. As you guys know, just to zoom out a little, I mean, I have thought that the most fascinating business story, and it really encompasses everything we discussed during the pandemic, has been which trends that accelerated or were created during this time will actually remain after the pandemic and which will go away. We can debate separately something like Peloton. Clearly, a lot of investors think that once a vaccine is here, people are going to stop buying Pelotons, they're going to go back to gyms. But the shift from brick and mortar to e-commerce, which of course was already beginning in earnest before the pandemic, is clearly going to stick around. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon basically said that on the earnings call. He said, we're convinced that these trends are going to remain even post-pandemic. And guys, the numbers on this, we mentioned Walmart and Target, those two chains, but let's look at the whole space. E-commerce's share of all US retail spend has gone from 10.6% a year ago to now 14.3% at the end of Q3. I mean, huge surge. And in Europe, by the way, just in the European apparel market, I saw McKinsey put out a study that basically the e-commerce gains have done in just 6 months what should have taken 6 years without the pandemic. Now, of course, the e-commerce share at the end of Q2 was even higher. It was 16% of all US retail, but that's because it was the height of lockdowns. There was no physical retail. And in Q3, a lot of stores reopened.
You know, it's interesting, Dan, about that comment that you brought up from Doug McMillon. It really jumped out to me on the conference call because it certainly is right that it is kind of the way that things are going. But the next sentence was people who begin orders online or shop online spend more, and they spend more in the stores. And this is something that Jeff Bezos has talked about for years. Amazon Prime members spending so much more with Amazon after paying the privilege to spend the money with Amazon. And so it's a double win, I guess, from their perspective here, where not only do we get to meet customers where they are, we actually can encourage them to spend even more because I guess people are slightly less inhibited when they're shopping online.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit to unpack there. I mean, one thing is that the idea of same-store sales rising along with e-commerce can be misleading. I mean, we're not saying that because of e-commerce rising, all stores will die, although Macy's might, we can talk about that. But there are people who are loyalists. And I think often when they talk about, oh, people who are shopping online are also more likely to buy from us in store, well, it's loyalists who do all their shopping from a place like Target or from Walmart. But you can just see where the puck is headed. I mean, the share is going to shift over to e-commerce. We're at 16%. It's still surprising to some people when you hear that. They think it would be higher. I mean, if you ask the average person, they probably think the e-commerce share is even higher already. But you got to look at the trend line. I mean, one is hockey sticking, one is flat.
Sounds like more Macy's store closures to me. Yahoo Finance Editor-at-Large, Dan Roberts. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.